Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
Now Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston, and recorded live from the porch of the famous Malibu kitchen. Now, here's Spike.
Thank you, fake announcer guy. I have a bunch of questions already. People have been asking me questions to ask, to talk about. You want to run through some right now?
Go.
And, you give me your opinion, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. This one is from Jeremy Taylor. It says, "Good morning, Spike. I've been seriously considering a 17 Nissan GTR, but we need some insight on whether or not it would be suitable as my daily driver living where we get snow. I have to have all-wheel drive." What do you think, Zuckerman?
I say why not?
Yeah, it's
why
GTR.
Not?
It's got all-wheel drive.
It's also heavy. It's heavy as hell.
This is one of those guys who's asking for validation of something he already knows that he wants. And just get it. Don't bother me with questions you already know the answer to, Jeremy Taylor. Thanks for writing in.
Have fun.
Ryan Spear. Listen to the first episode. Nice start! ! That I find to be an insult. By the way, is Jerry really a 930 turbo guy, or was it a clever innuendo for imitators to go and jump of a bridge, so to speak? I think he means jump off a bridge. Do you remember? What is he talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about.
But Jerry's not really a 930 guy, right?
Yeah, but what he's saying is that are we attempting to manipulate markets for our own gain? And I think he's got a fine idea. I think this is a great idea.
Well, you and Jerry, myself to a lesser extent, and a few others have been manipulating markets for years just because we get crazy about cars. We all start looking for 73 RSs, and we start calling around, and then C.J. Wilson gets involved, and Steve Sirio on the East Coast, and suddenly the prices start going up, right?
So in essence, we manipulate each other.
It's not that, we're losing money for each other, and we've become smarter about it. So don't tell anybody what he's into. Eric Almenberg, S2E3. Oh, he's talking Car Matchmaker. Okay, so in Season 2, Episode 3, you use a website to find a Mercedes 450 for a comedian. Which website was it? Now, you own one of these cars, don't you?
I've owned several of them now.
What's the one you have?
I have a 72 350. The first year of, I believe it's called the 107 body type, R107, which ran from 72 until 89. On that show, I don't want to denigrate that car, but it was a piece of shit, to be frank. And so... I don't remember where you found that car. I thought you found it at just one of the dealerships.
No, I remember where I found the car, but I think the point is these cars are not hard to find, are they?
They in that run from 72 until 89, they made 300,000 of that body type. 300,000.
So here you go, Eric. Look anywhere. They made 300,000 of these things, and it's not going to be a problem to find one. I think this car we may have found on Craigslist. I don't remember, but they are everywhere. Do you like these cars? Would you recommend you get one?
Absolutely.
They're inexpensive, right? You can get one for under $5,000, maybe.
What you wanted, but the issue is, yes, you can get one as cheap as $5,000. The parts are available. The parts are expensive. The service is expensive. So as usual, it behooves you to get one of the later ones. 86 to 89 would be the 560 SL. Those are the most evolved. Try to get one of those that had a fastidious one or two owners, and then you're probably in good shape.
All right, let's keep going here. James Foley. Hi, Spike. I love your show. I'm very interested in an old Porsche, but I don't know how much I should look to spend or what years to look for. Well, spend an unlimited amount of dollars and find something from between 1965 and 73 in the 911. He goes on to say, I want something fun and something under 7,500. All right, well, that changes things.
Well, he's not getting anything. He can get a toy.
Well, what could you get for under 7,500 at this point? 996s aren't even remotely close.
No, you would a 924, a 944, a 968.
Would you really recommend that somebody gets one of those things?
Piece of crap.
Their front engine piece of
crap.
Why not, though, take that money and maybe lease something? It's not practical in the Porsche biz,
again, is it? I don't think unless you got a pretty good FICO and you got a pretty good salary,
Right.
You're not leasing anything.
Well, what if we recommend that he get a nice old Volkswagen Beetle or something with a manual transmission and get a little bit of what a 356 feels like? I own a Beetle. I love it.
And I think that's actually a brilliant idea because what you can do is you can crack that case. There's so many aftermarket hot rodders that can take that engine, essentially make it into a 356 engine, increase the horsepower, and those things handle wonderfully.
Yeah, they do. They handle like an old 356 enough. The engine's in the back, which is the right place.
The sound is right.
And if we see you, we're going to say hi to you. We're going to talk to you.
You'll have credibility.
You have credibility. There's your answer. All right, let's do a couple more of these. Lawrence Chashnin, what are your thoughts with regard to the Porsche 928? I think we just gave those. Vikram Prashar says, I seek advice, Zuckerman. I seek advice.
On any subject.
To get a manual future collector. So manual gear, future collectible. Here are the choices he's kind of laid out. What would you get? 2009 V8 Vantage, 2004 Gallardo, Lamborghini, 2004 Ferrari Modena. That's a 360, 2010 R8. All of these cars are
horrible.
Well, they're all in the $100,000 range. The V8 Vantage, I think you probably catch around $60K.
It's going to be.
But out of those four, give the guys, I
Can I interject? I know this isn't on his list, but he should be getting a 997. A 997, 911. I think that's one of the best recent Porsches made, and I think it's a future collectible. It is so Porsche and so a little bit analog, the right size. That's the way to go, Vikram.
Vikram Prashar, do that. And my second choice would be get that R8. I think these other cars are going to be an issue with you. But the Porsche, like Zuckerman's saying, your money could be safe. You may actually make some money.
The Vantage, you're going to want to drive off a cliff one day. Make an insurance claim, the unsellable Vantage.
And then you can help them get the money, Zuckerman. All right. Well, right now, we're going to go across town. Not too long ago, Zuckerman, in fact, yesterday, I had a chat with John Ross Bowie. Not Bowie. Bowie is how he pronounces his name. He's the star of ABC's Speechless, and here's my interview with him. Hi, John. You taking a picture of me?
I am taking a picture of you.
Oh, well, let me put my glasses on. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You've got a brand to protect.
There you go.
There it is.
No, I just look a little younger with my glasses on.
That's counterintuitive, but it's 100% right.
It works. Now I'm going to take them off. And look, I've aged.
Oh, my God.
Like
Gandalf.
a decade. Well, this is, I've never met you before, but I'm sure you and I travel in the same circles.
I think we have a ton of friends in common.
This is John Ross Bowie.
It's actually Bowie.
Bowie, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's
now, I guess now I haven't met you.
It is the most common mistake.
Do you know how to pronounce my last name?
Ferriston.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, you're right.
Am I right? Okay.
So you have to make a mistake.
Exactly like it's spelled.
Thank you. Yes.
Do people mispronounce your name?
Constantly.
Really?
Absolutely.
It's
Fernstein. It's a mess.
They're putting extra letters in there, though.
It's awful. And they're making it very Jewy. A lot Jewier than it was.
They are making it very Jewy.
Yeah. It was anglicized from Fernstein. When my grandfather married a Catholic, which was a big scandal in my family. So
was this in some shtetl, or was this here in the United States?
This was here in New York City, yeah.
Okay.
On the Upper East Side of New York City.
Okay.
And to make it right, he said, I'll anglicize my name and make it more American, but he didn't change enough of it. He changed it from Ferenstein to Ferristen. It's still a mess.
It's still a mess, but it is a little more, because Ferristen, you're like, oh, maybe that guy's German.
What about just Ferris?
Why not just Ferris?
Why just ferret? Something simple. Even that wouldn't get mistaken. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you.
Hi.
And
rhymes with Maui going forward.
That's right.
There you go.
Maui. But you look at that and you think David Bowie right away. And
you do.
Did he mispronounce his name, do you think?
He, I'll say this. Anytime I go to the UK, people get my name correct right out of the gate.
They do.
Anytime I'm in the UK, like I go to customs, they're like, hello, Mr. Bowie. I'm like, hello to you.
So do you think it was David Bowie in England or David Bowie?
I've heard it pronounced that way, yeah. I missed my window to meet the guy and clarify it with him directly. I got my share of condolence texts when we lost him last year, though, which was very touching, if misguided.
Really?
Yeah, I got a few people who were like,
For real?
I'm assuming he was family, and I said, I was a fan, but hey, listen, you can't do better than Hunky Dory, but no, we are not blood.
No.
Also, not his real name.
What? David Bowie isn't?
David
Bowie?
Jones. He was David Jones.
He was David Jones. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's your real name? John
Michael
Ross.
Ferenstein.
Okay.
Joshua Ferenstein.
Well, you're here promoting ABC's Speechless.
I am.
You're entering its second season, right? You're entering your second season. That's fantastic. Wednesdays at 8:30?
Wednesdays at 8:30.
Are you guys on a normal? Are you on in the fall? Is that when you premiere the second season?
Yeah, we'll be on in the fall. And
Congratulations.
We're in reruns now, that we were preempted last night by something called Boy Band.
Well, that's huge, Boy Band. That's the show they sold with 2 words.
Yeah.
Boy Band.
Yeah.
I just read that. And that's the search for the next boy band. Would you like to promote that?
You
Because
know what?
I could
Why
talk about
not?
that all night.
I am a network stooge. I will happily promote Boy Band if Bob Iger needs me to.
Well, there's lots to talk about with your network, ABC, because aren't you guys also doing that Gong Show thing too? No,
Show.
you have nothing to do with it, but
I'm
and that's
closer
Mike
than you
Myers,
might.
right?
It's not. It's a weird British comedian who resembles Mike Myers. No, he's hosting the show in character.
He is.
It's really
Have you seen
a
it?
bold choice. It's sitting on my DVR. I did not get a chance to watch it.
Wow. I'm a huge fan of Mike Myers. My kids and I just went through Austin Powers together.
They're great. They hold up incredibly well,
They're
and kids
really
love them.
funny. And
yeah.
they were wondering, like I was wondering, like why is Mike Myers not doing more Austin Powers and everything else? So I guess this is his new show that he's rolling out.
I wish him well. I'm a massive fan. I actually, you know what you can find online is the Sprocket script.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really funny.
I was in a Sprocket sketch on Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Yes. I got to play one of those weird
One of
dancing
the dancers
guys.
at the end? That was the time
It
on
was just
Sprockets when we danced?
It wasn't even an under 5. I'm sure it was just an extra part, but I got to do a little dance.
You know, that's what an amazing chunk of you have to take those little moments in your career, wherever they come, and you're able to say I was a dancer on Sprockets is such that's such an iconic credit.
And it forgot about it until this moment.
Oh, but it's so cool.
And I was in a Wayne's World too. Those are 2 pretty solid sketches.
What'd you do in a Wayne's World?
I was German guy, and I had an under 5 line in that one. I don't remember what it was, but I know I was in it, and it was a thrill for me.
You were writing on the show
This is great.
at the time?
I feel like I'm reliving my past, and I'm remembering it. I'm so old, I've forgotten the things that I've done. But again, I don't want to talk about me, John Ross.
I kind of
Bowie.
do, though. We can. Okay.
I want to talk about you. I want to get to Cars. It says here. Well, first of all, getting into your second season for a show is a pretty big deal. I know because I create and write shows that, you know, the odds of you even getting to the end of your first season is a big deal.
It's really like winning a stack of lottery tickets. I mean, to get the pilot to go to series, to then get your full season order, and then to get a second episode, it's incredibly rarefied air.
And tell everybody, if they haven't seen the show, what it's about.
It is a really funny, edgy show about a family that doesn't have a lot of money, so they move into a terrible house in a really good school district, so they can get the best education possible for their kids. One of whom uses a wheelchair, and I try not to lead with that because when you lead with that, people are like, "Oh, well, that sounds really depressing," and it's not. It's a really funny show.
We like wheels on this show. So
well, there we go.
That's cool.
There we go. Then you will enjoy. It's funny. I've gotten to drive the wheelchair that my son uses on the show, and it handles pretty well, I got to say, and it's got some insane pickups.
So it's a battery powered deal.
It's a battery powered deal, but I've gotten into some wrecks, some full on NASCAR wrecks in our small set driving that thing. It is no joke. Micah Fowler plays my son, and he in real life uses a manual wheelchair, but on the show he's got this souped up, like Fast and Furious machine, and it's
So what was that casting like? Were you looking for someone that actually was in a wheelchair for the show and an actor? And is that a big pool of actors?
It's not. There was literally a nationwide search that our casting director Susie Ferris conducted that had her just viewing viewing digital files from Betamax tapes from all over the 13 colonies. they just did this massive search for people who kids who were using wheelchairs and who had a certain charisma. And Micah already had some credits. Micah's with Paradigm. Paradigm are, by any estimation, a larger agent than I'm with, and his dad's sort of taped a little interview with him where he talked about just what kind of TV he watches. There were no sides. He doesn't speak on the show. He's nonverbal on the show. He can speak in real life. But Susie Ferris found this kid who had done. He'd done a Sesame Street. He'd done a Blue's Clues.
Wow.
And he's great. He's incredibly charismatic. I recommend the show if only to see what a handsome young man too. Good Lord, handsome. I love the idea that the world thinks this kid is my son. It's great.
Yeah, and so I understand you're nominated for an Emmy for it this year.
We are.
Are you?
Not. We are. The nominations haven't come out yet.
They haven't. That's what I thought. Someone told me that you were.
I'm gonna straight up fire your producer right now. We're gonna shame him.
That's Will right over there. Look at him. He didn't say it, but it's on my sheet here.
Hi, Will. We're on a couple lists of things that people think should be nominated. We are ourselves not nominated just
not
yet.
But
you know
because
what?
the nominations come out in July, right?
Right, middle
First
of
week
July. Yeah,
that's right.
But you know what? Let's do the secret here. Let's manifest it and
put it out in front of you.
Yeah, put it out in front of me, and that'll be the goal. Yeah, we've gotten some nice. We got an award from the Television Academy that for shows that move towards social change. It was us. It was The Night Of, that really good HBO crime show.
I love that.
It was great,
That's
right?
really incredible.
So we have gotten some nice notoriety, and the reviews have been great. Especially for a network comedy, and critics can be tough on network comedy these days, you know,
No, especially.
and maybe justifiably so. But we've been pretty. I think people look at the show and think, well, this is going to be like a really treacly after-school special, and then when it's kind of a fun, edgy comedy, they're happily surprised, and I think we benefit from that shifted expectation.
Right. Now, you were also spent a little time on Big Bang Theory, right?
I did. I have, and hopefully we'll be back.
And so you consider yourself part of that cast too? When you say we like that,
Big Bang is a home away from home to a certain extent. I do like 2 or 3 a year tops, but I've been on since season 2 as Sheldon's nemesis, so I'm part of it, and I've. When I started on the show, the internet very much treated me like I was helping the show jump the shark. I was the shark that the show was jumping.
do people get mad at you? The fans?
God,
do they
people
think
got
you're
so
the
mad
bad
at me.
guy?
They really do.
Yeah.
And I've since I've been on. It's so funny because people got very annoyed at this new guy who was on the show, and part of me was like, oh my God, people are such children. I can't believe people are such children, forgetting the fact that I stormed away from Cheers when Shelley Long left. People hate change. I get that. People hate change. They don't like strangers coming into their midst.
No.
I think over the course of 9 years, people have acclimated to the character, and it's fun to be on a show that people love. You know, it's really and it's a nice cast. Oh, of course, they're a nice cast.
And you're on 2 different networks.
It's nice. It's
You're
not bad.
thriving. Any plans for Fox and NBC?
If they'll have me, sure.
You're not exclusive?
No, I'm not.
How did you make a deal at ABC to not be exclusive for your own show?
They know what's
You know, the
best for them.
folks who aren't in showbiz, whenever you get signed to one of these networks, they always make you sign this thing that says you can't go on other networks, right?
No, it's true.
And you're the star of Speechless, or one of the stars of the cast. That, to me, like if I'm Iger, I'm like, that guy's not going anywhere.
They are very generous and will let me wander. I have like 3 chances a year to swing.
I see.
To go outside my marriage.
So it's in your contract that you can only do it 3 times.
And it doesn't have to just be Big Bang, but I have 3 chances to go outside the marriage, and
that's it.
And if I'm on a business trip and I meet a lady at a bar and things happen, I can slip the ring into my back pocket and we move
they
forward.
Want you. You're their girl.
But
they don't want you out with some other guy.
ABC's been very flexible. ABC has been very flexible, and we have an understanding. I sound like one of those gross husbands on those Showtime
it's good
documentaries
that you get to do that.
Swinging.
I've been held back by that stuff before, and it's awful when you can't do something because it kind of you can't really get any bigger than you want to get when one network goes nope.
I'm allowed to stretch quite a bit, and
right.
I take advantage of it. I have a good time with it.
Well, let's they tell me you like cars, that you're a car guy of some kind, that you have an interest in cars.
Well, it's interesting because, I grew up in New York City where there are more cabs than cars.
Right. And most people don't get a driver's license in New York.
I did not.
You did not,
I
right.
did not. I grew up in New York City. My mom doesn't drive. My father did drive, but he's no longer with us, so I can say freely. Terrible driver.
Right.
Angry man on the road.
Okay.
We'd rent a car and go out to the island sometimes, or he'd drive my grandmother's car, and just the incredible Willy Loman rage in this man was something to behold. So I grew up just not being particularly interested in cars, and I didn't get a license in my 20s, and I pawned rides off of other people. At age 30, my wife and I drove across the country. She drove across the country. I sat in the passenger seat, navigated, and picked the music.
And what kind of car was this?
It was a 95 Corolla when we drove out here in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
a real wagon. We can curse on this.
Sure.
Real pussy wagon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of attention on the road across America.
But so I get to LA.
What was the plan for this drive, though? Was it to stop along the way, or is this, let's get there in a couple of days?
No, it was a stop along the way kind of thing. It was
Right.
we're going to drive through. We're going to take a little chunk of Route 66.
Okay.
To say we've done a little chunk of Route 66.
Uh-huh.
We're going to, stop off in roadside places in Arizona where you can buy a swastika flag. Not a joke. You really can. Yeah, terrifying. It's a big country with a lot of diverse ideas. Where was it? I've since forgotten, but we were like, oh, look at this place. They've got like the full-on like steer skulls outside front, and this is like a real little southwestern little place. And we go in, and my hand to God, you could buy. There were these massive swastika flags on the ceiling.
Wow.
And I'm not Jewish, but I kind of have been told that I look Jewish. So my wife and I both have, we just have to get John out of here. Let's just get John out of this store as quickly as we possibly can.
Let's just get a few of these flags, put them on the side of our car, and keep going.
What's the worst that can happen when we get to L.A. with two swastikas hanging off of our Japanese
I don't think
car?
LA would notice that. I think you would just drive by and everybody would just keep smoking pot and doing their own thing.
Who was the guy who had the crazy car in L.A. in the early aughts?
I know
who I mean, right?
Yeah, who decorated
Dennis Woodruff.
Dennis Woodruff. You're exactly right.
Yeah, we lived right near
He's
Dennis.
still around, right?
I haven't seen his car in years.
No, he's got lots of cars. He keeps going with cars.
He had like the Dennis Woodruff mobile.
So Dennis Woodruff, you don't know who this guy is, but he's worth
a Google.
He was worth a Google. Failed actor. Is it fair to say he wanted to be an actor, and he was really not getting anywhere? So what he did is he really tricked out the cars, in the right word. What would he do to it? He would paint them with house paint. He'd put like bushes on the top of them. It's hard to really describe.
He decorated them more than tricked them out.
He decorated them.
I mean,
right.
he treated them like he was a production designer, and
right.
they were these sort of rolling art installations.
But not. Yeah. Art and production designer are even a little too highfalutin words for what he was doing.
I'm
right?
a generous mood.
This is kind of a hoarder type guy.
Yeah.
Instead of storing stuff on the inside of the car, he stuck it to the outside.
Yeah, nothing
right?
in his garage. It's just all on his hood and his.
Yeah, no concept.
No.
But you noticed him when you drove down the road. When you were on Sunset Boulevard, I saw him all the time, and I went, "There's Dennis Woodruff." And I really did consider, like, maybe there's a place to hire this guy. Maybe we should do something with him, right?
You need to get him on the show, man. You should
I
get
don't
him
know
on the
about
show.
that.
I mean, I bet it would be a fascinating hour.
Really?
Oh, I think you should get him. And
I'm
while
gonna make you
you're
come for
up,
that.
try and get Angeline, who I understand is selling the Porsche.
Well, she was a Corvette, right?
Corvette, sorry,
she
you're
had
right.
a pink Corvette. But do you really think she's got anything to say?
Maybe about that car? I don't know.
No. Angeline, you can Google her, too. She's another one. Was she an actress?
She was an actress, and she used to put up
in her old
billboards.
day, right? And her thing was pink. So, she's probably about 98 years old right now.
Give or take, yeah.
And she
She's
drove
probably
around
low 60s, actually. But as far as LA terms, she's
low
she's
60s?
98.
You think?
Yeah, I think she
All right.
she got her big start in the 80s when she was sort of a starlet.
See, when I first saw her, she looked like she was in her 80s, and now, but
Again, I'm in a generous mood. Let's say 98.
Woodruff and Angeline, those are your soft spots. But yeah, you're right. Interesting car characters driving around L.A.
So I moved to L.A. and I realized that I've got to get a license because I did a ton of L.A. on foot and on the bus for a few months there, which is fascinating, and I recommend it. I recommend our public transportation system anyway because it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But,
Except when it goes underground.
Yeah, but the
And the earth shakes. But go ahead.
Yeah, okay, that's terrifying. But even that, though, you go, like, the subways, because they're so hardly ever used, they're immaculate. They're
that's
really,
true. That's
really
true.
clean down there.
Well, this new Santa Monica one is pretty good. My
Yeah.
family takes that one to downtown events all the time and comes back. My wife
Downtown's
loves
a
it.
great place to take the subway to because the
Right.
parking sucks down there. So you take the subway downtown.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Get
Right.
off at Pershing Square, go to Clifton's, make a day of it.
When they do it, I usually take my car. That's how much I love cars, but I let them go on their train, and they train back. So half the family is green.
Fantastic. That's more or less.
So
yeah.
you get your driver's
So you're like
license.
half a DiCaprio.
So wait, did you say you got your driver's license
I
out
got
here?
my driver's
So,
license.
but you're already driving across the country. Your wife drove the
My
whole way?
wife drove the
She
entire
did.
way.
Wow.
And was actually, I have to say, not a martyr about it. She was a very good sport about it.
Yeah.
But finally, after about 6 months here,
You got to get your license, and it's a little different out here, right?
well,
So what did you do? Go to a driving school?
I went to Melrose Driving School, and it's me
boy.
and a bunch of teenagers and a bunch of recent emigres to the country.
Okay.
And I'm like 30, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like the only person without acne who speaks the King's English, and it was fascinating. And what they do is, people are always like, oh my God, you learned to drive in LA. That's crazy. I maintain there's no better way to do it.
Right.
On your second driving lessons, you go on the freeway. We went on the 101, my second time behind the wheel of a car.
But did you have any idea, like, what anything was? Like the throttle, the brake?
I had a fundamental. I mean,
Right.
I'd watched my wife drive. I'd watched other people drive.
So what do they do? Is it a little classroom instruction, then they throw you into the car, or they
Pretty
just throw
much,
you into
yeah.
the car?
They-
And was
the-
it that I never took my high school science teacher taught me how to drive.
My high school did not have
He
driver's
was the
ed.
driver's ed guy.
So many
But did
high
they
schools
have
in New York
Did
don't
they
have
have the
driver's
car
ed.
with the 2 steering wheels and the 2 brakes? And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they-
did you need that stuff?
Yes, yes, I most certainly did.
Why?
We took the we got on the road at the 101.
So
second
how old are
lesson
you
out.
at this
I'm
point?
30.
You're 30 and
And
you're
here's the
learning how
thing,
to drive.
they
That's
teach-
rough because it's hard to learn stuff when you're 30, right?
They teach teenagers how to drive because teenagers have no concept of their own mortality. 30-year-olds have loved and lost.
Right.
And you're out there and you understand that we are on this
Yes.
earth for a finite amount of time.
Yes.
And that's the problem. Is
You
your
might be the
fear.
instrument of someone's destruction.
The fear and anxiety that goes into learning
Yes.
to drive when you're 30 is no joke. So I finally got my license about a month shy of 31.
Okay. It took a year.
It took like half a year.
Why did it take a half a year?
Because I flunked my test a couple times.
Did
dude.
you really?
Yeah, I flunked my test a couple times.
The driver's test, the written part, or the?
No, written part I nailed. On theory, I had it. It was the practice that screwed me up.
Oh my gosh!
And so I would go to the DMV on Cole, right in Hollywood.
But to see, all this makes you a cool New Yorker, by the way.
I guess so.
It's just a cool New Yorker story.
But so
A lame Californian, but a cool New Yorker.
exactly, that's for a super lame Californian, the
So
lamest. Californian.
you get your license, and it comes time to.
drive myself to jobs finally. So I get this commercial that shoots out in Pasadena.
Right.
And so I've got to take the 101 to the 134, and I show up on set, and they say, "How was the drive?" And for the first time in my life, I'm able to answer. And I'm able to, you know what? I hit some traffic on the 134. It's kind of a parking lot out there, and it just felt good to bitch about traffic from a
Right.
first-hand place.
Yeah.
Again, I'm 31. And I'm just like all the petty little nuisances that come with driving are a new toy for me. I
Right.
couldn't have been more. And again, shitty '98 Civic.
What did you notice right away that you hated on the road? Because now I've been driving probably since I was 3 years old.
Right, of course. Where'd
And
you grow up?
In Massachusetts, in West Bridgewater, a small town
Okay.
south of Boston.
Oh, really? Okay, my
Yeah.
wife's from Swampscott.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, North
what's
Shore.
Your what's your
Jamie
wife's name?
Denbo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
of
right.
the
Red
Swampscott
Sox. Here
Denbos.
we go. I know the Swampscott Dumbos.
You
We're all warring factions in Massachusetts.
Oh, it's all
you have
Hatfield
to be
McCoy
from
shit.
the town, otherwise it's like Game of Thrones.
But you all claim to be from Boston, though. So what the fuck? You
Yeah,
all
no,
claim to-
I'll talk to her maybe now, but not long.
Yeah, but there are people from Nashua who claim to be from Boston. You
Yeah,
people
no.
are just like, oh, I root for the Sox, therefore I'm from Boston. Which
Yeah, I don't associate
does not
with them.
fly in New York.
No.
I will not stand for that.
I don't socialize with people from East Bridgewater or Plain Bridgewater.
Wow, it's like a
just
really
West Bridgewater. It's just
a
West Bridgewater.
really mundane West Side story over where you're from, isn't
Well,
it?
we're an angry people.
I see that.
But I've softened a little bit. But getting back to you, on the road, like what's driving me nuts right now is it seems like everybody's driving on the left side of the road, in the left lane slowly. Have you noticed that? That the left lane has become the slow lane.
Yeah, that is striking. And I am...
So when you get on the road for the first time and you're in our California highways and you're driving, what are you noticing that's making you crazy?
How no one is observing the speed limit. How the speed limit is there to protect us and no one is honoring it.
So you don't like
I'm the only person who's actually doing 35 on the streets and
So you're that
65 on the...
Right.
But so I stay in the right lane, though.
Right.
I stay
That's
in
good.
the slow
That's
lane.
perfect.
Because that way it's easier to exit. The first thing that noted... Well, I took to driving pretty quickly, and
But you're all about following the rules.
all about following the rules.
And everybody else is all about
It seems like
that,
everyone else
the
is
gray zone.
Everyone else is Mad Maxing it out there.
But
and
you know what I mean about the gray zone? We know how far we can take it without getting a ticket. Right?
Well, there is a rule on the books in Los Angeles that you drive with the flow of traffic, which is
Right.
sort of like, and that is and you can use that in defense of a speeding ticket, although it probably won't work. But
No.
but you can say, like, listen, if everyone's doing 75 and a 65,
Right.
then in order to be safe, I too have to do 75.
So do you get tickets?
Yes, I've only actually gotten one speeding ticket in my life, and it was that death trap at right by the Oakwood Apartments. There's
one right there?
There's a stretch of in Burbank,
Barham.
non-LA listener on Barham, where it's downhill. You're coming right off the freeway, and
Boy, I
there's
didn't
always
know
a
that.
cop there.
Boy, I did not know that.
And they get people all the time who are like running, basically because you're right down the hill from Warner Brothers,
Right.
So they catch actors who are late for an audition. They just nail us.
all the people who don't have money.
Yeah, exactly. And they catch us one after another. It's just it's a net for late actors.
So then, excuse me. So then, do you start collecting cars at some point? Do you start buying? I mean,
you know what? Here's
you're
the
such
thing.
a novice driver.
What I do for years and years is I get on some series and I get some work, but I don't want to be the guy who like gets his pilot picked up and buys a Porsche.
Why not?
Because that never works
First
out.
of all, it's Porsche. It's a
Okay.
family name.
Yes.
Again, we've been talking about family names here. Bowie and Bowie.
I didn't want to be the guy
you
who
just
gets a
Bowied
too
and Bowied
expensive
Porsche.
car. I wanted to be a sensible guy. I wanted to be a fuel-efficient guy. So for years, I drove Priuses. They're not sexy, but they get you there.
Boy.
Until,
Right.
hear me out.
No, my wife is on her fourth one. I understand that.
The Prius is a fine car. First off, you can parallel. It's fun to parallel.
No
park
one's
a
going to give
Prius.
you any sympathy on this show for that. So
It is
don't.
fun to parallel park a Prius. All right, it
Fun?
is that. It is fun. It's that easy. It's like parking a wallet. It's a tiny little car.
Yeah, no.
It's wonderful for parallel parking.
You know, when my wife said she wanted a Prius long ago, I said, I'll get you one. Sounds good. For me, it was just about saving money. I was like, this is going to be a really cheap lease. I'll get it. And it was delivered when she was out of town. They brought this green Prius and put it in my driveway, and I said, "Why is it green?"
when
And
they came in the only green, they came
no,
that kind of like
he
pearl
goes, "Your
green."
wife said that she wants to be green, so she wanted a green Prius, so everybody knows she's green."
A little
right?
on the nose for my
a little
taste,
on the
but
nose,
okay.
right? But I'm left alone with this new thing, so I get in it, and I'm like, "This is amazing," you know. And I drive down the street, and I'm like, "I totally get this. This is wild. This is the first hybrid I've ever driven." It was like driving an iPod, like an iPhone. Like I'm in this new technology, and
Yeah.
I'm grooving on it. I'm like, she's got something here. Right up till now, I'm only driving Porsches and crazy stuff. But I'm going to say, so I take a left on Sunset, and I go by. You know where the Roxy is?
Sure.
And I get up to a stoplight, and I'm loving this thing. And I see some kids, some 14-year-old kids, group of them, going, roll your window down, roll your window down. And I think they're really excited about my car. They're waiting to get in line at the Roxy. And I go, and I roll my window, and I go, yeah, check it out. And they go, nice car. I said, what? And they go, nice car, homo. And I went, what?
Fantastic.
And I said, they go, you're gay.
They want to clarify it.
They wanted to clarify.
Oh, I
what
like a
said.
clear hate
So I
crime.
got gay bashed. And I was so taken aback by the whole thing, by everything that was happening, doing all the mental calculus for like, I'm being gay bashed, I'm not gay, but not that it matters, but then also Prius bashed. The only thing I could think to say back to them was, yes, I'm gay, gay for the environment. And then they looked at me really confused. And I went, yeah, I don't know why I said that. And I rolled my window up.
No,
and,
you should have stuck to that. That's fantastic.
and then I turned around and I brought the Prius home.
That's a T-shirt, is what
Okay.
that is.
Well, the whole thing was ugly on all sides of it, even my response. I've been, for years going, I keep thinking I had a better response there, like the Seinfeld episode we did. But
Better than gay for the environment? I don't think
Better.
you can top that.
no,
A friend of mine...
but I wanted to. But then years later, I was going to get a Prius, like
Yeah.
you. right?
Okay.
And a good friend of mine, Roger Cumble is his name.
I know Roger.
You know Roger?
Yeah.
You look like a guy that would know Roger. Roger pulled me aside and he goes, look, I'm going to tell you this is your friend. You can't drive a Prius. I said, why? He goes, you don't look right in a Prius.
Interesting.
And I thought about this Roxy moment.
Interesting.
And he said, you're hosting a show called The Car Matchmaker.
Yeah.
and the Car Matchmaker doesn't drive a Prius.
No, he probably doesn't. That's a good point.
Right? And that was very insightful, and it was a very smart thing to say. I was really appreciative of that.
A friend of mine goes into a 4th season of a TV show, and we won't get into names. But she decides that she wants to upgrade her car
it's a woman.
little bit.
Yes.
And it's a woman. It's an actress in Hollywood.
Okay.
Narrow that down.
What
and
network?
she decides that she wants like a really modest Acura.
Every Acura buyer wants the same thing.
Very modest Acura, and she goes to her friends, and she's like, that's kind of a cool car. And everyone's like, I mean, it's an Acura. It's fine. It's neither cool nor not cool.
Acura buyers don't care about cars. They don't even know what the models they're buying. RDX,
so she gets
MDX.
this very modest Acura,
right?
And she's driving down Ventura, and she sees the same car, make, year, color, in front of her. She pulls up behind it, and the car in front of her, the same Acura, has a license plate that reads #1 Nana. That's a true story.
And it ruined her day.
It ruined her day.
But how did she not know this going into this situation? I mean, she's wrong from the top.
Doesn't care
This
about
is
cars.
why I have a whole show about helping people with cars, because I could have stopped her from buying the Acura.
Well, here's what
So
I
wait,
ended up
so
doing.
you're in this
for
Prius.
years. I do Priuses for years, and I look great in a Prius, by the way.
No, you don't.
I'm head to toe beta. It looks fine. It's a perfect match. It's a perfect
You're
match.
a head to toe binary.
It's absolutely like, this is a guy who drives a Prius. And
Right.
Terrific. And look, it's gray. Perfect. But so I'm driving to work about 2 months ago, and I'm at a stoplight on Olympic, and there's a commercial Ford van behind me that's pulling up. And it's going a little on the fast side. And I go, man, that guy's going kind of fast. I wonder if he's going to be able to stop. And then it becomes very clear that he is, in fact, not going to be able to stop. And then it becomes very clear that he's going to hit me. And it's just really a matter of question of how hard he hits me. And you know how time slows down when you're about to be in an accident?
No.
Okay, well, it does. And I'm sitting there just waiting. There's nothing I can do. I'm blocked on either side. I can't steer out of the way. I can't move forward because I'll hit the car.
You're
going to
take the hit, right?
I'm going to take this hit. And I just see this Ford logo come closer and closer until it basically enters my car, shatters my back window. There's glass in my hair.
Did you depress the brake? Did you leave the brake off to absorb some of the impact?
I didn't have the time to think about that. I had the brake. I had my foot on the brake. I stayed on the brake, and then I put it in park. I get out of the car. The back of my car is just accordioned.
It's destroyed, right.
Accordioned.
Right.
Now, the cabin is fine. My airbag does not deploy.
Okay.
I'm a little shaken.
Well, there's no airbag behind you.
Exactly. But, like, it's not the sort of thing where, like, I was going to get hit so hard that I'd be thrown into the wheel and the airbag would deploy. It was
you're going into the seat first.
So I get well jolted. I get out of the car, the Ford van, you'd have to be told that it had been in an accident. It is fine. Nothing. The license plate isn't even dented. There's
right.
It's in perfect condition.
It sounds like you were a little off the brakes.
It was at this point that I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to buy American. So the Prius is totaled. The Prius is just, there's no salvaging this car at all. I'm
Right.
fine.
Yes. So the Prius saved your life.
The Prius saved my life, but it's not a car that drives away from a crash.
No, well, this sounds like a pretty big impact crash.
That was a nasty one. It was a Ford commercial
but I'm
van.
glad it took this crash. See, to me, this is your higher power telling you to get out of that car and into something cool, and I'm hoping you're going to get to something cool after this.
Well, it depends on how you define cool, Spike.
I define it pretty simply.
Okay.
Cool. Something cool.
All right,
Let me guess. Did you go to some big SUV after that, after the crash?
No, I didn't. I went American, but I didn't go
You
SUV.
did? Okay.
One of my favorite movies of all time is Repo Man.
Okay. I love that movie. It's great.
Okay. What's the car they're looking for in the Repo Man? Do you remember?
I don't remember, no.
It's a Chevy Malibu.
Yeah.
So I go online and I go, you know what would be crazy? If they had the car, hear me out. If they had the car from Repo Man, but it's a hybrid, and they do. I drive a Chevy Malibu hybrid. I drive the eco-conscious version of the car from Repo Man.
Oh, my God.
That's awesome.
And you still have it?
It's downstairs. I thought we were going to go ride in it. I thought I cleaned out my
I don't know that
footwell
anybody
because I
wants
thought
to.
we were going to
No, I
go
don't
for
think
a
anybody
ride
wants to ride in that car.
It's the car from Repo Man.
But is it literally the car from Repo Man? It's not.
No, it's the 2017.
It's got the Malibu on it.
It's
yeah.
a Chevy Malibu from 2017. It's not from
Oh
the
my
80s.
God! You need my help. You need my help.
All right, I'm
You are now the
46-year-old.
star of an ABC show.
I'm
a
also a
sitcom.
father of 2.
So am I.
Okay.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying. So what's
You've got your Malibu.
okay? So
What are the cars and what are the brands that you liked growing up? Let's start there. I mean, let's forget about what people are going to think, and I'm an actor, and X, Y, and Z. Look, you said it yourself. You've got a couple summers left on this planet before it's over, right?
Right.
What do you have any cars that are on your radar? Things that you dream of, things that you would want, things that you look at that you go, my God, that's what a beautiful thing that is.
Well, remember that very few New Yorkers have dream cars because
I know
our main
one.
job is we're trying not to.
His
get
name
hit
is Jerry
by
Seinfeld. He's got all sorts of dream cars.
Okay, all right, that's a good
What are you
example.
talking about?
All right, the rest of them are cab drivers.
All right, well, look.
All right, you know what would be fun? What would be a fun sports car?
You take a second to think about this. We're going to take a break right now. All right? And when we come back, we're going to hear what your dream car is.
Oh, you're going to make fun of it.
In order to feel comfortable that you're getting a fair price, you need pricing context, information that empowers you to feel confident. With TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local market paid for the car you want. From there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. TrueCar will show you what other people in your area paid for the car you want. Now you know what a fair price is, so you can feel confident. Once you register, you'll see real pricing on actual inventory. This is competitive pricing offered to you only by a TrueCar certified dealer for an actual vehicle on their lot. It's pricing you'll see before going to a dealership, so you can feel confident when you show up. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing, so you can enjoy a quick, easy buying experience. TrueCar customers are more likely to enjoy a faster buying process when they connect with TrueCar certified dealers. TrueCar users save an average of $3,000 off MSRP. Wow, that is a lot of dough. And when you're ready to buy, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states, and I'm not going to tell you which features or which states.
Hey, I'm Jordan Rogers.
And I'm Luke Rogers.
And we're the hosts of Sports Related.
And we're brothers. We're going to bring the thunder. You're going to leave smarter. We're going to drop mind grenades. We're going to carpet bomb your brain with sports and culture. And if you're a guy, you're going to get in touch with your feminine side. If you're a girl, you're going to like sports. If you already like sports, you're going to know how to talk about sports. Even if you don't like sports, you're going to learn how to talk about sports. We're going to bring it, and we're going to bring it hard.
You're going to get to know us a little bit, too. The embarrassing background stories. Luke pooping his pants as a grown adult. Yep, it happened. I'll share it.
It's not a good story.
But join us because we're going to give you something to take away every week. Remember to download new episodes every Friday at the Podcast One app or subscribe to Apple Podcasts or podcastone.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with John Ross Bowie,
Hello.
a vestigial car guy. He's in the very beginning of this driving thing of ours.
I feel like a tail growing out the back of a mutant baby.
No, but I like hearing this stuff because this isn't going to be a show where you come on because you're a restorer or you're like Rod Emery. You're doing all these great creations. I like the driving story of everybody. There's so many people that I meet who say I'm not a car guy, I'm not this, but we're all driving around, and all of that experience is useful to somebody somewhere.
And when in Rome, I mean, Los Angeles is a car city, and people maintain cars here
Right.
because it's not like you're going to get snow damage. So,
No, but you have some funny car things happening. I love this drive across the country that your wife has to do all the driving.
I'd love to- I'd
and
love
you're
to do
just
it
sitting
again
there
with
eating
me.
what? Pork rinds and
Probably Fritos at the time.
Fritos at the time. Then you have to come here.
I had a lightning fast metabolism. Huh.
And then you have to get your driver's license, which is pretty emasculating in front of all these teenagers who are doing better than you.
Oh,
and
much
then
better.
you do what a lot of people do, by the way. A lot of people in comedy do. The first car is comedy-related choices. You make a comedy-related car choice.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane bought a DeLorean. Made a
Did
little
he
money.
really?
Right. The first thing he did is he got a DeLorean. Right.
There
he
used
hates
to be
it.
a DeLorean down my street when I lived
Yes.
in Silver Lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would go by, and it was constantly just by itself. No one was getting in or out of it. And sometimes it wouldn't be there at all. And my wife and I would joke like, "Haha, it's back in 1955." But we were going by, and finally I saw somebody. The gull wings are up, and I see somebody getting into it, and I pull up alongside him like, "This is your DeLorean?" He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "I have to ask you, where do you get a DeLorean service? Like, if something goes wrong, what do you do with a DeLorean?" He goes, "I go to the place in Gardena." Like, I'm the asshole for not knowing where. Like, oh, the place in Of course, the DeLorean dealership in Gardena. Silly fucking me. I was so mad at that guy.
DeLorean's back. I think they're in 2 states right now. I think they're in Texas and they're here in L.A. They are back in a big way.
That is fantastic.
They keep coming up, but I've never driven one, but I hear they're awful to drive.
Well,
Don't get a
short.
DeLorean.
They're so short.
Well,
I'm only 5'8",
and
and I look at those things and I'm like, what is this thing?
Well, anytime you're creating a new car, how much has to go into that? Every little part. Even though that, as I understand it, is Volvo parts or something, it's parts taken from other cars. The guy, you know how it all ends up. It ends up in that little hotel in Brentwood with bags of cocaine and suitcases full of money. And it's a mess. So that guy, obviously,
it ends poorly.
It ends poorly, and he didn't really make a good car.
What are the other comedy cars that? So I've got a Chevy Malibu.
Well, you can think of any comedy car from any show that we've ever seen, right? The Blues Brothers cars. You get into that vibe
with a Plymouth something or other.
It's just an old American beater that kind of looks like a cop car with a little light on the side, or anything that's going on with American graffiti. When I go back and think of like my favorite cars from movies and TV shows, you've got Batmobiles, you've got the stuff like that.
Somebody had a Batmobile cruising around the other night when they did the Bat Signal for Adam West downtown. Somebody had an authentic 66 Batmobile just driving around City Hall.
I think I know that guy.
You probably do. It didn't have the fire going out the back.
I know who that is. There's a whole group of them,
I'm
and they
sure.
have TV show replica cars.
Wow.
And they're super cool guys, and they do stuff like that.
Super cool?
Super cool nerdy guys like us.
All right, yeah. So super cool with an asterisk.
See, just hearing that somebody was doing that made me want to go out and do that too. Like, how did I miss that? In other words, that sounds way more fun than what I was doing that night.
Okay, so how about this?
So come on.
So all right.
Let's be serious now.
Not growing up in a car.
You have an unlimited amount of money to spend.
A bitchin' Camaro.
So you'd go with an American car.
I would probably go with an American car. I like the idea
an
of
old
supporting
one.
the
So
economy.
an old Camaro. That doesn't really, because those cars were, they're old cars from the 60s. Doesn't help anybody but the guy who's selling it to you.
Yeah, but if you can do things now where you put something under the hood that makes it not quite the guzzler that it would be in 1965, and I think it would be fun because I grew up listening to a lot of punk rock, and the Dead Milkmen had a great song called "Bitchin' Camaro," and I think there are worse reasons to buy a car. Like for instance, you saw it in Repo Man. So "Bitchin' Camaro."
All
might
of your
be my
reasons
dream
are very
car.
cerebral. It's very interesting. It's not because I got in this thing and I drove it and I liked it. It's some reference to a song or a guy or a movie.
Well, it's funny. Like the only time I've ever.
You know what the actor car is?
What is the actor car?
Yeah, if you're an actor, you're making money, you're an actor. There are two.
I see a lot of Mercedes out there. I see a lot of Audis out there.
Audis and BMWs, right.
and BMWs,
Somewhere in the 5 Series category.
Yeah.
That's the one. Black, nondescript. No one can get at me. No one can make fun of me. I'm successful, but not so successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the cars.
You know what the showrunner car is?
No.
Tesla.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right now it's the Tesla. Big time. Big time. There's on the Fox
I'm a
lot,
showrunner. I don't have one.
There's a bunch.
They're just
of,
everywhere,
network,
right?
Maybe I mean network showrunner.
Yeah, networks too. Network executives. Well, they get the best parking on the lot.
They get the
have
best
all
parking
those
on the lot.
That's right.
They get the best parking with the shortest amount of walking.
Now, here's something I've been wondering, and maybe you're wondering too. When we all give in and get electric cars, who gets those 4 or 5 places that have the chargers? Like, do you know what I mean? So now you're going. I'm trying to think of the right place. Okay, Dodger Stadium.
Oh wow, yeah.
Dodger Stadium, 10 years from now, is all electric cars.
They're going to have a new grid.
And everybody wants to plug in when they get there. At what point do the corporations turn and go, look, we're tired of paying for the electricity here. You're on your own here.
It'll
pay for your own charge.
I actually think the invisible hand of the free market will take care of that somehow, but
I don't think so. Here's another thing. All right,
okay, I'm listening.
Not that I'm against electric cars. What are we doing in an earthquake and the electricity gets turned off for a week? Where do we go to charge our electric cars?
That's when it falls. You know who saves the day?
Who's that?
That asshole with the DeLorean in Silver Lake. That's the guy who steps up with all his Coke money and starts shuttling water and dry goods back and forth.
I know, it's a Honda generator moment. I think you have to get out and pull the Briggs and Stratton and start up the generator to charge your electric car. See, Erica now, obviously my wife who loves Prius, is on her 4th one, wants an electric car of some sort.
Sure.
Doesn't need to be a Tesla. She doesn't care about that stuff. But I live in an old house, and it's not rated for that.
No.
Like, so we were going to do it, and I was going to install the charger, and they said, your house will just go down. Like, I have to redo the entire circuit board to get an electric car done.
Your house will go down in value or in flames?
No, the house in flames.
Okay.
Like,
wow.
it'll
All
just,
right,
I'll be constantly resetting the charger. So now I have this giant. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have to do it because your wife wants something. It's small
a worthwhile cause. Too,
it's a worthwhile cause. You know, I don't want to have to open up the books and show her why. I would rather make a big deal out of it and go, well, there's going to be a big cost, honey, than have her know how much money I make.
What did you drive here?
I drove my GT3 today.
Okay.
That's what that is?
That's a.
It's called. It's a race car that Porsche makes.
Okay.
That's designed to drive to the racetrack and also for street. So It's got a wing on the back, and that's to keep the ass on the ground over 160. And I just love these things.
Did you do some street racing on the way here to make some extra money?
No, I
or
don't.
You just
I never
came
race.
straight?
I never race on the street. No, I never do that.
Well, listen, I know you can't legally say you did, but wink at me
but
if you did some street racing.
If you drove this car, you would absolutely love it.
Oh, here's something.
Okay.
I don't drive stick. Why would I?
Of course. Well, that's like most of the country right now.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
They don't. The number of people who've come on my show who don't drive stick, that's everybody. Pretty much.
Really? I'm
yeah.
surprised to hear that, actually.
But
I feel like it's almost like not being able to ride a bike at this point. I feel like there's people
Well, no, they're being phased out.
Okay.
Even Porsche is in an interesting push and pull with them right now about, the new GT3s. This GT3 that I have, they didn't offer stick.
Okay.
It's a PDK transmission, which is their automatic transmission. And their theory is, look, you're going to save money on gas, and the computer chip can shift way faster than you can with your hands and your clutch and your 3 pedals.
Yeah, of course.
What they failed to realize is guys like us, me, we like to have fun when we drive. We like to be engaged. We're not going faster.
It's not a passive
I want
thing.
something to do because otherwise my squirrel brain is going to go into overdrive and I'm going to defeat myself by 2 in the afternoon.
And it's just about how you didn't please your father, how you didn't
right,
please your father.
Exactly.
And it's better if your hands are busy. I get it.
And the manual gear shift helps me with that. It's therapy. And on the weekends, it's fun. So now in these new GT3s, I can see your eyes glazing.
No,
over
no,
here.
I'm
listen
fully
to this.
engaged.
Try to
I'm fully
follow me.
engaged.
It's all right.
Yeah.
The new GT3s, they're giving us the manual back.
Oh,
all right?
nice. Muzzle tough.
It's coming back. I have one on order in September. But I'm driving this one today, and I'm conflicted because I love it so much. I'm having such a nice drive in it, such a nice time.
It's funny.
To learn manual, I guess you could. I mean, I guess some of the cars you're interested in have a manual transmission, but why would you do that to yourself? Do you want to? Because I'll teach you.
I have some demons. That I could stand to avoid, and if I had both hands engaged, I could avoid them. And it looks like fun. My friends who have who drive stick have a great time. Mm-hmm. They drive very aggressively, but they seem to really be enjoying themselves.
Yes.
Here's the one time I drove a really fancy luxury car. I was playing a businessman on an episode of Monk.
Okay.
And I was the guy who was very stoic. Like, I don't care about cars. I've got my Prius. Don't worry about me. I don't care about cars. All cars are the same. I sit down in this late model BMW. I'm sorry, I can't tell you the exact model rather. And I sit down, and it's like driving a goddamn cloud. And I was like, oh, I see. Cars are not created equal. I understand now.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Now you understand.
It's just literally, it was just me going through an intersection, just an exterior shot of me going through this intersection a couple times, and it was the smoothest thing I've ever operated. It was the most gorgeous. And that's when I started to, when I have a little bit of money, we'll start taking things a little more seriously. And I got to say, the Malibu handles so much nicer that... Hear me out! Will you stop making fun of my Repo Man car?
Malibu
this is a car...
hybrid. I'm more interested in what you just said, because you just said something very profound. It's what my whole business as a car matchmaker is based on.
Okay.
When people ask me for advice, or any of us for advice, they don't really want to take it. They
Okay.
just want to be validated. They
Okay.
just want... But when I can put them behind the wheel of something, that experience you just had in a luxury automobile, you say, I'm not about cars, but then you get in and you go, oh, I get this.
Yeah.
And it delivers that relaxation, that calm, that peace. You have
That
2
smoothness,
kids.
yeah.
That smoothness, which, by the way, you can find in cars that aren't luxury automobiles.
Yeah.
When a guy like you gets in a performance car, have you driven anything fast?
No, I haven't.
You will lose your mind.
Okay, so what's my car?
Well,
Spike,
I want to
come
let
to
you drive my GT3 right now, so you can experience it.
Really?
We'll go for a little spin. Yeah, because I think you'll love it.
All
I
right.
think you'll actually lose your mind in this thing.
Really?
Yeah. Do you? And I say this a lot, but do you remember what it was like the first time you put Nike sneakers on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That feeling. You're strapping on Superman's suit,
Wow.
and you can do anything.
Okay.
And if you make mistakes, it'll fix it.
I remember the enormous tongue of my Nikes just now. What were they? It was a short-lived brand in the late 80s. But
You're ruining my analogy.
No, it's perfect. No, I'm with you. I'm
run faster.
I'm enhancing
you
it.
can
I am
jump
enhancing your analogy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to the very entertaining John Ross Bowie, right?
Yes, you got it.
He is the star of ABC's Speechless. It's entering its second season. You're starting in September or October? When do you guys start?
We'll be back on the air in September.
In September, Wednesdays at 8:30. Congratulations, man. It's
Thank
a big
you.
deal.
Thank you very much.
I loved chatting with you. I loved hearing about this drive across the country and first-time driving stories. Wonderful.
This was fun, man. Thank you.
And I want you to come drive my GT3 right now.
Sold.
You know how many people listening right now are going, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He's driving it?
No.
I'm going to let you drive it.
I am grateful for the opportunity.
All right, man. Let's go.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
All right. Have you heard about the new Podcast One app? There is no other podcast app like this! Exclamation point. Download the all-new Podcast One app now in the App Store or on Google Play now. You can find out everything about your favorite shows and get more content from my show. Find articles, social media, episodes, and even make playlists. It's easy to comment and connect with other fans, too. We have our own little community on there. You can share your favorite content and see behind-the-scenes photos, plus get a 360-degree video and watch a bunch of shows in virtual reality. There's over 1,000 videos on there right now! Exclamation point. It's like you're in the studio! No! Exclamation point. The new Podcast One app looks so cool and has so many little things you can do, including fun things like rewards for listening. So what are you waiting for? Download the new Podcast One app in the App Store or Google Play now! Exclamation point.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.